I just got this E90 for 7,500 crowns. Is that a good deal? I don't know. I think so. No crank, so the engine doesn't even turn over. And the previous owner crashed it. The previous owner was driving at night, and then he suddenly flew over some curbs or some kind of safety island in the middle of the road, causing both of the wheels on one side to get destroyed, and he hit the subframe as well, which got bent. So firstly, we'll need to figure out why the engine doesn't start, and if the engine is even good. And if the engine is good and we can get it running, then we can start looking into the subframe part. If the engine is good, then we need to replace the front subframe, swaybar links, inner and outer tie rods, and probably some other things as well. The engine is very oily. This car may seem like an ordinary E90, but there's a few things that I like about this car. It has legal coils, so it's lowered fully legally, approved. From factory it came with non-xenon headlights, but the previous owner installed these kind of refurbished xenon kind of headlights. Not quite sure how they work. He also gave me the old ones. Nothing special with interior, except that it does have an iDrive, 6-speed manual, parking sensors, M Sport steering wheel. That's about it. And the most important of all, monster truck exhaust. To be honest, I'm not sure what even is that. You can literally, you can put your fist inside it. It did give me the original exhaust as well. And 100 crowns in the old bill, which is not useful anymore. When the previous owner crashed it, the car was running, but he destroyed both of the rims on the one side, and he called road help, and then the platform came to pick him up. The car started, he drove it onto the platform, and the transport guy delivered the car to the nearest workshop. And then for some reason the car stopped starting. It didn't start anymore, and when the workshop took a look on the car, they found that the minus cable between the engine and the frame was crumpled, probably from the impact. Then for some reason they diagnosed the starter. Not quite sure why they would do that before they fully repaired the minus cable, but the other guy also tried to put jump start cables between the frame and the engine. Did not help, but I'm not sure. So firstly we will replace the minus cable, and then if we need to, we will replace the starter. Another thing, the front radiator, the bracket for it has left the chat. Not leaking though, need to replace the bracket. Here are the wheels that it got crashed on. Pretty good bend here and here. Let's waste no more time and get to work on this thing, because there's a fair amount of work that needs to be done. It was right here, to the body up here. That's what was just left. Here's the new one, universal one. That's what I have used many times on Beamers. Works like a dream. So right here you can see the subframe is bent. The oil pan is also leaking, as you can see. Since the subframe is going to be off, we're going to drop the oil pan as well and just replace the gasket. Here we have another subframe. It is from a 1 series, but they're exactly the same. At least the guy I bought it from told me. We might need to swap over the engine mounts, but else it's exactly the same. You can see here are the coils. Interesting. Now we need to remove this plastic and that plastic. So much dirt. Now we need to remove the tie rods. Seems perfect. Sure, everyone has a 38 wrench at home. This is not even a tool anymore. This is a weapon. Never mind, we don't have the right size. Now we can remove the tie rod end. This was properly stuck. This one is completely stubborn. Bam. Now remove the swaybar link. Boom, that's out. The bolt was greased, so probably this whole arm has been replaced, I'm guessing. Like that. Can we undo the inner tie rod with a set of pliers? I don't know. Yes! Beautiful. Yes. Now these bracket bolts here, I have did them before and there was a huge pain. You can see how rusty it all is. It's like losing shape and stuff. What? That is absolutely impossible. Crazy, that actually came out. I don't know how that makes sense, but the nut is bigger on this side. Okay, that's weird. Let's remove it from here then. Yeah, so these bolts, the nuts on these bolts are spinning inside it. So I guess we will need to remove the subframe together with this thing and then remove it after. Now these two bolts for the steering rack. Now there is a few AC lines that is held in place on the subframe. Now at this point we need to undo the engine mount. Right. Good. That should be good for now. I mean, now at this point, the things that we needed off are off. Nothing left holding it, so we can probably start undoing the whole subframe itself. Jeez. Holy cow, these ones are long. Good stuff. You can see how this part is just whoop. So now we need to drop the oil pan and replace the gasket before we can put back the new subframe. And before that we need to drain the oil. So let's remove the oil filter. Let go. Ah! Clean oil filter. Now let's put the cover back on. Aye. Okay, I need to fully undo the dipstick. Finally. New washer. Then put in the oil level sensor with a new gasket. And the oil pan gasket. Good. Now the short bolts are torqued to 10 and the longer ones 12. The engine mounts seem the same as well. So now everything that we need on the new subframe is on, and we can probably get to work and put it on the car. Сука. Then the steering rack bolts. Now the subframe to the chassis is torqued to 108 Newton meters. Now before I forget, this AC line that is held on to the subframe. Now we can put these arms back where they belong. We will torque these a bit later because we need to do it on ride height. So we need to either put the car on ramps or jack the suspension up. But now we can put the engine back on the engine mount from the support bar. So now here we have some parts. The tie rod, swaybar link, the radiator holders, the gaskets and stuff, engine oil, this much. Now, before we forget, engine mount, 68 newtons. Yes. So before we do the wishbone and control arm, we need to replace the sway bar link. Now the wishbone and tension strut. I'm just gonna jack up the suspension and do it that way under load. And they are torqued to 68 Newton meters and 90 degrees. Now 90 degrees, which is just a quarter of a turn. That should be good as well. Now this ball joint is torqued to astonishing 165 newtons. Grommet. Good. The tracking is very off. We will do the tracking when it's on the ground. But just for now, I'm gonna adjust it slightly. This one's very far off. That's close enough for now. We will tighten these bolts later when we do the final alignment. I also bought a brand new undercover because the old one looks like this. So let's put it on. Now some work on the engine. You can see that the engine is very oily, so we need to remove the injectors and valve cover. We need to replace the copper rings on the injectors and the valve cover gasket, and also the intake manifold gaskets. Clean filter. Ow. Why is this loose? This is not tight. The turbo feels decent, I guess. Why is this pipe here so dirty? Now remove the stupid dipstick again. Wow, you know what, guys? This car came from factory with no swerve flaps. Because usually there are these kind of swerve flaps in here and they adjust the air intake when the car is idling or something like that. They can open and close. Very often they break and they can destroy the engine. But here it's nothing. But someone has definitely been in here because one of these things was missing right here. And I did not drop them in the engine. Now it's probably now let's try to remove the injectors. Come out. Okay, that's one. Nice. Yes. Two. Okay, so second one came out without the washer. Okay, so it was only held in place by one bolt. Now we can remove the valve cover. Not bad, looks quite decent. Came out pretty nice. So now this has been drying for around 24 hours. I left the heater on slightly and the manifold is as dry as it can get. Yeah, and the EGR. I also gave the engine a pretty good clean, and I cleaned all the gasket surfaces, and I also cleaned the inside, the injector ports. Let's put back the EGR unit. Now we can put back the little boost pressure sensor here on the side. You could say the manifold is ready. I just realized when I unplugged the MAF, I pulled it out with the whole sensor itself, so it was broken and glued. So I guess we need to glue it again. The valve cover is torqued to 10 Newton meters. Now the injector with the brand new washer. Now the injectors are also torqued to 10 Newton meters. Now we can put back the fuel return. Now we can put the plugs here. Perfecto, muy bien. Now let's plug in the... Okay, so the sensor is plugged in. Now we can put all the nuts. Putting it together is so much more fun because at least everything is clean, you know. It's not like anything you touch and becomes all oily and stuff. No! Yes! Now these upper bolts are 15 and the lower ones are 22. Now the air filter. The same old one. Or I mean, it's not old, it's new, but... Now the little bolt for the dipstick. That was a lot easier than the first time. Now the positive terminal. Brand new oil filter. Now we need to add 5.5 liters of oil. 5W40. Previously one guy said that 5W40 is better for the M57 engine. I'm guessing it's the same for M47, so yeah, why not? So now I put the car on charge, because I'm not sure how good the battery is. By the way, the previous owner did left me almost a full tank. Bleeding fuel system. Yeah, I forgot to put on the clamp for the EGR. Now, as you can see, the car is standing very weirdly. So while it's bleeding, I'm gonna put the rear of the car on the ground. I'm guessing the car is gonna make some weird sounds when we start it up because there was a lot of grime around the injectors, oil and garbage and stuff, and brake cleaner, and also all that ran down to the cylinders. So it's probably gonna sound like it's about to blow up in the start. Yeah, not much life in the battery. Woo! A bit of smoke. Runs pretty damn good. Why is my head so big? What the hell? I will give this car to full alignment. I have showed this method before, but to get it as close as possible, I put 2 jack stands here and I put a fishing string on it, and I put it so the fishing string is straight, is touching both of the wheels, front and back. Here it's not touching. For the alignment to be perfect, you have to have the fishing string touching both the front and the rear part of the same wheel touching evenly. And you can see, firstly, the wheel was completely sideways like this, and then the back was not touching at all and everything was chaos. So then I adjusted the inner tie rod, I turned it, then that adjusted the way the wheel stands like this. Hard to understand if you haven't done this before, but now it's close enough so you can drive it around and get an alignment later. So actually I completely forgot. When we had the undercover up, I should have put on the radiator bracket, but I completely forgot about that. Because this is the bracket that we are missing. And this bracket holds both the radiator and the intercooler from under up in place. Yes! I managed to put it in. You can see how sturdy the radiator is. Thanks for watching. So this car is done. Need to get an alignment, clean it up. I guess no point to make a video about it. And I hope to see you in the next one.